Here's one. Trump warned about potential civil liability as some aides clear out desk. ABC News. In the wake of Wednesday's assault on the nation's capital, President Donald Trump has been advised he potentially could face civil liability connected to his role in encouraging supporters who went on to storm Congress, sources familiar with the conversations told ABC News. They're diming on him, trying to save their careers. Think OJ, an advisor, explained it to Trump. According to one source, it was a reference to OJ Simpson, who was found not guilty of murdering his ex-wife and a friend, but later faced stiff civil damages after being sued by his ex-wife's family. Prior to Wednesday, the president and his advisors had been discussing a self-pardon, something that would be both historic and untested in American history. Why would he self-pardon before Wednesday? In the wake of a phone call with Trump and Georgia election officials that was made public, the sources say if the president were to self-pardon, it would only strengthen the motivation to bring civil cases against the 45th president. As ABC News previously reported, sources tell ABC News White House counsel Pat Cipollone advised the president that he could face legal jeopardy for encouraging his supporters to storm the Capitol building, according to sources familiar with their discussions. After these conversations, sources say the president grew angrier and the entire pardon process has been described as on hold, meaning others who have been lobbying the president for pardons, including his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, may not receive one. That would be rich. We'll see. Trump has long believed that he has the power to pardon himself. In 2018, the president tweeted he had the absolute right. Although there is some ambiguity in the law, most constitutional lawyers and experts ABC News has spoken to say a president cannot pardon himself or herself based on the founding legal principle that no person can be a judge or jury in their own case. After Wednesday's riot, many staffers and 2 cabinet officials publicly resigned, but others have quietly packed up their offices and have no intention of returning to work. This includes some West Wing officials, sources with direct knowledge tell ABC News. The president has been described as isolated, miserable, and angry, according to sources who point to the suspension of his Twitter account as a particular sore subject. I still don't get why he's so hung up on Twitter. The White House has been planning a week of programming intended to highlight what they believe are the president's achievements over the last 4 years, with sources adding the week would include events at the White House and at least one trip that has already been announced to the southern border wall. I think he already went. As of now, the president, according to sources, is planning to leave the White House before President-elect Joe Biden takes the oath of office. Yeah, you know what? I'm not surprised. And what I'm getting in the news reports is that they're pulling the president's money. So all of his banks and benefactors and connections are all drying up. Now that remains to be seen. Now normally I wouldn't come out this early and actually start talking about this. Would let the cards play out. There's normally I do. But everybody's saying something else, that things can or cannot be done, or things should or should not be done. Don't really know how this country works, this complex society works, and how much we depend on it. Just like the supporters. Now they didn't go inside the Capitol building, but they were on the ones that scaled the wall, that didn't go inside the building, that didn't leave when they were supposed to. There's a lot of them stuck in Washington, D.C. trying to get home because they got put on the no-fly list. They have literally videos of people crying because they got put on the no-fly list and they have to figure out how to get home. They're stuck in the airport. Now they have to get on the train or get on a bus or something like that, and they have to pack up and they have to find another way home. Just that simple. Just something simple like that can actually hurt your life. Really simple. And nobody thinks of it. All the little things that they let people get away with in their life because we're too small to concentrate on. We're too small to actually focus on. But then you're going to put the spotlight on yourself by the most powerful country in the world. Fortunately, this is a very liberal country, because if this was China, they'd be picking you up. If this was Korea or Japan, they would be picking you up from your house. If this was Germany, they'd be visiting your house as we speak. This country gives you lots and lots of leeway because because they fomented and designed a very liberal society. Now, sometimes they have to take L's for that, like the spread of coronavirus. Everybody else, the authoritarian countries can actually lock down and make people do stuff. Liberal Western countries cannot. So they can't clamp down and hold the spread of this particular pathogen. But that is the other side of the card when you have a liberal democracy. And most times it doesn't focus on the individual members because it's too much trouble. But when you do stuff like this, they will focus on you. They're going to have your names and trust and believe it's not over. President Trump, even though they probably will not impeach him, or they will impeach him, but he won't be convicted. I don't think the Senate will have enough votes to convict him. But they will drop articles of impeachment. He'll be the first president to be impeached twice. That's going to be interesting. But everybody else is pulling his money. Normally, as a former president, look at Obama. He in office, he wasn't broke, but the thing is, he wasn't rich, right? He's worth over $150 million now, 4 years later. They treat ex-presidents very well. They take care of ex-presidents very well because they know a lot of stuff. They have a lot of information. They still have a lot of power as an ex-president. So to make sure that they don't fall into the wrong hands because of what's in their head, or that power is not misused, they let them live a very comfortable life until they die. They give you $1 million in travel expenses every year as an ex-president. They pay you a very nice pension. You get very nice, wealthy speaking engagements. You get preferred business deals. He could have left office and done all of that. He probably could have been a billionaire, been a multi-billionaire again. All he had to do was hand over the keys to the car, to the house, and go home. This was not necessary. And trust and believe, you're going to be in history books if the United States does live, you're going to be in history books for another 100 years. And the next group of people won't get the benefit of the doubt. They have armed troops all over Washington, D.C. right now. I mean, all over Washington, D.C. It's going to be virtually a garrison state. And I guarantee you, as long as this stuff kicks up, I wouldn't be doing much in Washington, D.C. right now. I'd be very, very careful about going there and trying to do something. I'd be very careful about going near a state capitol right about now. I'd be very careful about doing stuff like this because they will have your picture. And they don't forget. And you are part of the best surveillance state on the planet. They just don't make it. They don't make it obvious like the Chinese. Chinese make it obvious. Chinese are blatant with it. They just let you know. They let their citizens know you're being watched. And we watch everybody, and we will come to your house and talk to you. The United States does not. They watch everybody, but they don't say anything because they want the illusion of ease. They want the illusion of freedom because that's what the United States is based on the illusion of freedom. Because everybody that thinks they're independent and they're not being tracked, first thing I ask them, do you have a smartphone? And everybody says yes. I said, well, then you know what? I don't even know why you're even talking. This is probably going to be the last week I'm even doing politics. I hate domestic politics. And this is why I hate domestic politics. Because everybody gets emotional. You're not listening. You're not listening to logic. Because you think that the government is supposed to work the way you want it to work, and it doesn't. The biggest propaganda that you get is that you live in a free and fair country, and you don't. It's free and fair as long as they allow it to be free and fair. And at any time, they can start pulling rights and start pulling privileges, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Even somebody like Donald Trump, who's been the president of the United States and who's supposed to be almost untouchable, is going to find out that there's limits to what you can do, even in a country like the United States. Even as president of the United States, there's limits on everything. Putin said the same thing a while back. I'll see if I can actually pull the tape. He said it a while back. There are people in dark suits that will tell you how it is. Even the king's advisor tells the king how it is. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're in the middle of a crisis already. This is the stunt that you pull. Unbelievable. Man, I should have left this country 5 years ago. Anyway, that's all I got. This is BGS out. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.